This video is on the topic of xylem and phloem. The role of xylem cells is to transport water and dissolve mineral ions from the roots to the leaves. Water can then be used in photosynthesis, and minerals to build other molecules, such as proteins and chlorophyll. It can be tricky to remember which transport tissue does what in a plant, so remember that the X in xylem is close to the W in water in the alphabet. Xylem cells are adapted to maximise the flow of water and dissolve minerals. The cells are not living, so require no cell contents, and the cell walls between cells have broken down. The resulting hollow tubes allow water to flow in a continuous column. The walls of xylem cells are thickened with a material called lignin. This prevents breakage of vessels which could break the flow of water. You should be able to clearly relate each xylem structure with xylem function. The role of phloem is to transport sugars in the form of sucrose and amino acids around a plant. The direction of phloem transport can vary depending on where the nutrients are being produced or stored and where they are needed. You can remember that phloem effectively transports food molecules around a plant by noting that the F sound in phloem is also the starting sound in food. Xylem and phloem tissue, known collectively as vascular tissue, is distributed differently in different parts of a plant. In roots, the vascular tissue is located in the centre of the root, as shown in cross-section here. The xylem tissue forms an X shape, remember X for xylem, and is surrounded by phloem. In a plant stem, the vascular tissue is arranged in bundles around the outer edge. Phloem tissue is located on the outside, while xylem tissue is on the inside of each bundle. Think about the sap that flows out of the surface of a tree when the bark is damaged. This sugary liquid is from the phloem and shows that the phloem are on the outside of the stem. In a leaf, the vascular tissue forms the veins that we can see, and in cross-section the veins can be seen as bundles distributed throughout the leaf, with the xylem tissue on the top and the phloem underneath. You must be able to identify the locations of xylem and phloem in different parts of a plant. This example exam question shows an image of an insect called an aphid feeding on a plant stem by inserting its mouthparts into a structure labelled as structure X. The question asks us to suggest why the aphid has targeted structure X. Note the command word suggest here. It tells us that we are not expected to know anything about aphids or about the unfamiliar structures labelled in the diagram, but that we are expected to apply our knowledge of plant stems to answer the question. Don't be afraid of these suggest questions. If you have learned the content, then you will know what you need. The first thing we need to do is consider the location of structure X. It can be found just beneath the outermost layers of plant tissue in the stem. You should be aware that the outermost layer of vascular tissue in a stem is the phloem, so we can therefore reason that structure X is the phloem. We know that the role of the phloem is to transport sucrose and amino acids around the plant, and we can reason that this provides food for the aphid. This third point is okay, but it is a bit vague, so we can improve on it by being more detailed and specific. Sugars can be used by the aphid in respiration, while amino acids can be used to build proteins. It is always a good idea to be as detailed and specific as you can when answering exam questions. In summary, the role of xylem vessels is to transport water and dissolve mineral ions. Extended students should know that xylem cells are adapted for this role by being hollow and having no end walls, allowing continuous water flow, and by having lignified cell walls to prevent xylem breakage. The role of phloem is to transport sucrose and amino acids. Vascular tissue is located in the centre of roots, around the outside of stems, and in bundles throughout leaves. Don't be afraid of having a go at suggest questions. Such questions will never ask you to come up with ideas that cannot be reached from a good knowledge of the specification.